Due to industrialization, legacy contamination has been an ongoing issue in Hawaii since the mid-20th century, and managing hazardous waste such as PCB and chlordane-contaminated Hawaiian soils creates logistical challenges for the islands. PCBs, chlordane, and other persistent organic pollutants are some of the most widespread contaminants in the world, which pose severe threats to human health, wildlife, and the environment. Due to the fact there are no TSCA-approved landfills capable of accepting high levels of these toxic pollutants in Hawaii, the contaminated Hawaiian soil must be excavated and sent to the contiguous United States. To give you an example, this is how a typical full-scale project of 100,000 tons of PCB-contaminated Hawaiian soil would look like. Once a site with PCB-impacted Hawaiian soils is identified and remediation begins, the soil has to be excavated and loaded into dump trucks. If each truck can carry 20 tons of soil at a time, this requires 5,000 dump trucks needed to transport 100,000 tons of contaminated soil. The dump trucks carrying the impacted soils then have to offload the soil into a shipping barge, which brings the soil 2,500 miles to California or Oregon. After the barge docks in California or Oregon, the impacted Hawaiian soils are offloaded from the barge and reloaded into another 5,000 dump trucks, which then have to transport the impacted Hawaiian soil up to 1,000 miles to a TSCA-approved landfill for incineration. Each gallon of fuel used in this process produces roughly 22 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions, or GHGs. Fuel consumption for the average dump truck is roughly 3 miles per gallon, and fuel consumption for the average shipping barge is roughly 250 gallons per mile, meaning a full-scale transport and disposal project on 100,000 tons of impacted Hawaiian soil from island origin to an incinerator on the mainland generates over 64,130,000 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions. This doesn't include the greenhouse gas emissions from incinerating the soil, as each ton burned releases an additional 1 ton of CO2. So 100,000 tons of contaminated soil burned will emit an extra 200 million pounds of CO2 into the atmosphere. That's over 264 million pounds of greenhouse gases emitted to clean just one 100,000 ton site of contaminated Hawaiian soil. That's not even counting the potential millions of dollars in transportation risk to people, wildlife, and the environment. Thankfully, there's a better and greener solution. ecoSPEARS has developed transformational green technology that will usher in the carbonless future of environmental cleanup. ADS, or Additive Desorption System, can permanently extract PCBs and other chlorinated toxins from the impacted Hawaiian soils. ADS is a truly sustainable, cost-effective, and transformational green remediation system which greatly reduces water and energy use and heavily reduces greenhouse gas emissions compared to traditional cleanup methods. Because ADS is a scalable and modular system, it can be set up, broken down, and extract PCBs from Hawaiian soils all on site, without harming native soil, and while reducing greenhouse gas emissions from traditional excavation, transportation, and incineration methods by 90%. ADS operates by loading the contaminated soil or dewatered sediments onto a conveyor belt, which then loads the impacted material into a hopper. Once the hopper is filled with the impacted media, we saturate the material with our reagent and initiate the ADS process. As the impacted media is agitated within ADS, the chlorinated compounds dissolve into the reagent. We then pump the PCB contaminated reagent from the hopper into a separate containment tank. Clean soil is then unloaded and stockpiled in an engineered controlled area. The clean soil that is stockpiled is then sampled and tested to ensure it has met remedial goals. Once the soil is deemed clean by the regulatory agency, it can now be repurposed back into the ground. The contaminated reagent used in the ADS is then put through our reductive integrated destruction system, destroying the PCBs and environmental liability forever. Let's work together to create a better and greener future for all.